And thanks again. Welcome to our Email Tools Masterclass, Masterclass number 3. Okay, to start with, I'm just going to go through what we're going to be looking at today. We're going to be having a look at the email settings in your CRM. We're going to be looking at MailChimp integration, at email capture, and also our new mailouts tool, followed by a question and answer session. So I'm going to start off with email settings, start off with the boring stuff, I reckon. Boring but important. So email settings are just some basic template settings that you need to have set up in your CRM. And it's important that you have these set up because whenever the CRM sends an email, whether that is a thank you to a donor for a donation campaign, whether it's a membership email, whether we're using our mailouts tool, maybe you're just sharing one of your record forms and you've got a notification set up to let a member of staff know when you get a response. All of those use your email template, and so if that's not set up correctly, then things can go wrong. So I'm going to start off by having a look at this section. So here we are in GoodCRM. The first thing that you might want to look out for on your dashboard in this latest for you section, there is a problems section, and you might see this little red tag saying there's an issue. Form sharing, mailouts, donations, memberships may not work because your email template is not set up, and it has a link over to your email settings. So this is something to look out for. Make sure you attend to this issue if it does. You can also come over to the top right-hand menu, go to Tools and Settings, and access these settings. That way, they're right down at the bottom under email settings. It's worth saying as well, you will want to have some logos uploaded in your branding section so that we can use those within your email templates. And then come over to your email settings. And if your email settings look like this, then you need to fill this form in basically. So I'm going to go ahead and make some changes here. I'm going to change this to the correct email address. This second thing here is just the from name, who it's from, so you can put your email address in there again, or you can have a more friendly name if you wish. I'm going to put our web address in here. We've got preview text. So if you've ever noticed, if you're in something like Outlook, Apple Mail, something like that, when you're viewing your list of emails, you get a little bit of a preview content of that email, and that is your preview text. We can go ahead and fill that in here. I'm just going to say something like a message from GoodCRM. We've got a phone number that we can put in here as well. And any information that we want to include in the footer, I'm going to just go ahead and copy and paste this from our default template because it happens to be the information we need. But you'll want to put your company name, address, registration number, any of those things that you want to include there. And then we can choose from our branding settings which of the logos we want to use. So we've got 2 logos that you can upload into your branding settings. So I've got 2 versions. I'm just going to use the smaller version of our logo there. I realize that already shows up in the preview. That's what will show by default because it's our branding. But obviously, you'll want that to match your branding there. You can also do things like adjust the height of the logo. So if you've got a logo with lots of small text on and you want it to appear bigger, you can make that bigger and so on. But I'm going to go ahead and save with these settings. Now, one thing that when you've done this, you can see I've got little notifications here saying your email is verified. That's because I've already used this particular email address with the email settings here. But if you're putting a new email address in there, as most of you will be, you're going to be sent an email just asking you to click a link to verify that you have access to that email address. So it does need to be a genuine email address in order for that to work, so that when we're sending these emails out, they're not kind of caught up as spam and things like that. Okay, so as I say, this is the boring part of today's presentation, I hope. That's our email settings filled in. We should hopefully now see that that issue is no longer showing up on our dashboard there, and we are all set. Right, next up, we're going to have a chat about MailChimp and our MailChimp integration. And I'm going to start off by just looking at how you link your account up. with MailChimp, and then I'll talk about some of the settings there, and we can see an example of MailChimp in action, or our MailChimp connection in action. It's worth just giving a quick overview of what happens with the MailChimp integration for starters. So when you connect your account up, basically any subscribers on the audience that you choose are going to be pulled into your CRM. And any new subscribers can then automatically be pulled in as well. So we'll have a look at all the settings to control that. But we're also going to see a history of the communications that people have received from MailChimp on their timeline as well. So we'll have a little look at that in a bit more detail as we go through. Right, is that big enough?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, sorry about this, everyone. Slightly annoying, but there we go. So hopefully you can see I've got my little mouse there on the App Store menu, top right-hand menu in CRM. So we're going to come to the App Store. We can then come to our MailChimp app. We can click Install, and then we're going to see the MailChimp installation screen. Okay, so what we do need to do here is get an API key from MailChimp. And so if you're not sure how to do that, just Google get API key MailChimp or something like that. Get MailChimp API key might make more sense. And you'll have instructions there of how to get this information. You can go ahead and pop it into this box and then click Save. And when you do that, you will then see another little pop-up box that asks you which list you would like to sync. And this will show you all of your audiences within your MailChimp account. And you can choose the one that you want to sync over. We can only sync one MailChimp audience at the moment. So you just need to choose which one. And that might mean that you need to do some reorganization. MailChimp are very much moving people to the idea that there is one audience that is segmented. So there might be a bit of reorganization you need to do in MailChimp. Once you've got all the contacts into an audience, you can go ahead and select that. And then you can you'll then see two options. One is to sync automatically. So do we want to pull this information across as and when somebody new signs up? We want their profile to appear. And we can also specify which tag field we want to sync up. So MailChimp only has one set of tags. And basically, we can specify any of the tag fields in our CRM to do with people that we'd like to sync those tags to. And it's worth saying that when we do that sync, if we change those tags in MailChimp, they will get changed in GoodCRM. So it might be that you want to have your own special tag field called MailChimp tags and keep them separate from your person types or other types of tag that you're using. So feel free to set up that new tag field called MailChimp tags and choose that one here, and they will sync across. So once we've added our configuration, we've said which list we want to sync, and we've added our key and all that kind of stuff. We can then see a screen like this. It won't happen immediately, but once we've got a complete sync of the system, we're going to see a little output say how many contacts were found, how many people already existed in GoodCRM that were matched, how many new people were brought in, and also any campaigns that we found as well. So here I am on Henry's profile. Henry's one of my subscribers on my MailChimp list, and we've got his timeline here. And I can go ahead and filter this by MailChimp campaigns. And then, and then we can see all of the MailChimp campaigns that Henry has received. And we can see when they've been opened. We get a bit of a preview of the campaign and that kind of thing. We can also click to view the archive version on MailChimp of that particular campaign as well. So it just brings those contacts in, it brings those campaigns onto their timeline. It's just about giving you visibility. And one of the, obviously you can see all of this within MailChimp. So as well as the benefit of bringing your contacts into GoodCRM automatically, one of the benefits is you can see this alongside other things that are going on. So for example, if I filter this to also show the donations that Henry's made, and it's been a little bit of time since this has been connected up, it might be that this was had a link to a fundraising campaign in the email, and then we went on to see that Henry has made a donation. So really useful to have that information on the timeline there. Okay then. Email capture is a tool that is available on our pro accounts. It's absolutely one of my favorite tools in the system. If anyone's sat on a demo with me, you've heard me say that before, because I just didn't realize until we released it how useful I was going to find it. So just a quick overview on email capture before we get into how you install it and use it, that kind of thing. So email capture basically gives your CRM its own email address, and from that email address, you can just CC it into any email that you send, and it's going to pick that email up in your CRM. It's going to look at the to, from, and CC fields, and it's going to create any contacts it doesn't already recognize, and then it's going to add a copy of that email onto people's timelines. So it's actually a great way just of getting contacts into your CRM in the first place, but also it's great just to capture those conversations that are maybe important to the wider team out of an inbox and into that organizational memory that we have within GoodCRM. So that's a quick overview of what email capture is all about. And I'm going to show you now how we set email capture up. Okay. So first of all, how we go ahead and install email capture. You will need a pro account, otherwise you'll do an upgrade as part of this process. So just be aware of that. Again, we come to our tools and settings menu. And this time I'll come to tools and settings just to show you the other way into the App Store. We went directly last time. We've got this apps and integrations section here where it says explore apps and integrations. We can go ahead and click on that to view our App Store. And here you can see we've got the email capture tool, which we can go ahead and install. We click proceed. And it's as simple as that. Okay, now, a few things to say. I'm going to make this a bit bigger. A few things to say. This is a really horrible email address. I'm aware of that. And that's for security reasons that I don't fully understand, but our CTO says are very important. So if you actually, give your organization this email address and ask them to pop it in their address book and call it, CRM or something like that, then they're just CCing in CRM as opposed to this big long email. But you can also go one step further and you can create your own email address, for example, crm@myorganization.com, and forward that to this email. That will work. And if for any reason we have to change this email address, maybe it's got picked up and you're getting spam or something like that, then we can just change that redirection for you. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do a live demo. And as we know, email is not the most reliable thing, and tech demos always go wrong. So I'm really setting myself up here. But I'm going to go ahead and click copy. So I'm going to copy that email address. There we go. And so this is going to my friend Jeanette Joffrey@gmail.com. And we've got the email capture email that I've just pasted in from GoodCRM. And I'm just sending Jeanette a copy of our brochure here. Okay. One thing that I'll mention, you'll see that Jeanette's email is Jeanette.Joffrey. So our system's going to do a really good job of working out that first name's Jeanette and second name's Joffrey. If you have, an info@ or you've got maybe a Tom@ email that doesn't have that information, a top tip is to go ahead and add this person into your address book, into your contacts, in your email software, and put their name in there and make sure that that's displaying, so that when we receive the email, we've got a better clue of the person's name, and that will help just get that data saved in your CRM as it should be. So I'm going to go ahead and press send here, and no problem at all. I think, yeah, go ahead, Steph, and then I'll just carry on.
Yeah. So people asking about BCCing in the email address as opposed to CCing in. You can absolutely do that. The only limitations are, firstly, it's not as transparent as CCing in, and we quite like the idea of that transparency, where people can see that a CRM is being CC'd into an email thread. The other, so that's kind of I guess, more of a moral and data security and privacy policy type consideration. The other consideration is that BCC'd email addresses don't get copied into reply all threads. So if you're on an email thread with a lot of people and people are replying all on that thread, the CRM or any email address that's BCC'd will actually drop off that thread. So for those two reasons, we would recommend using CC instead of BCC.
Yeah, well put, Stefan. Literally what I was about to say next. So well preempted, whoever asked the question, and thanks for giving us such an eloquent answer. Yeah, so what I'd say, just to add to what Steph's saying, with that transparency thing, I think it's quite often the case that you'll copy in a team member or a team-wide email. So that's really transparent. If you are using BCC, then you might just need to check if you need something in your privacy policy so that people know that conversations aren't always going to be private between you and the person that's emailing. Okay, so during all that technology storm that was going on, the good news is that I've just done a quick refresh, and you can now see that Jeanette has indeed been added to our CRM. And if I click onto Jeanette's profile, we'll see that first of all, we've picked up the name correctly from the email address there. And we've got this record of the email sat on Jeanette's profile on the timeline. It looks a bit strange here because it says that we received the email and then Jeanette was added to the system. That is technically correct because it was receiving the email that triggered her to be created. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on the view email, and we can see the email that I sent to Jeanette. And we've also got here the attachment that was sent as well, which I can click on and open up. So that is email capture in action. So I'm glad that that bit worked. Any other questions about email capture, Steph, before we look at?
No, we did have another one, a slightly late one about MailChimp come in. If you want to answer that one now.
Go ahead, why not?
So Jamie was wondering so for their MailChimp account, they have lots of different tags in their MailChimp audience. When they import them into GoodCRM, will the MailChimp tags be imported into the CRM automatically, or do they need to set up the tags in GoodCRM first? Yeah. I said that they got pulled through automatically, but I was going to check.
You're absolutely right. Yeah. So if the tags don't exist already in the CRM, don't worry. We will create them in the nominated sort of tag library or tag type that is linked to the field that you've set up the tags to sync to. I could have said that more eloquently, but the answer is yes.
Ruth's actually asked a question, but I'm not actually massively clear what it's referring to, but she's asked what different types of punctuation and email address variables work for the name recognition.
Yeah.
Oh, so, of course, I see, when as in people being created as a profile.
Yeah, like, absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, first name dot surname is basically what we look at there, Ruth. But a few things to say there. First of all, if you do have the display name field filled in on your contact so that we're seeing a name there, we're going to use that. That's quite clever. So for example, if you've got a comma in that, so it's Cowell, comma Tom, for example, we're going to know that that's probably a surname followed by a first name, and that kind of thing. And it deals, I think, well with capitalization. It's going to capitalize the first name, first letter of the names, and it's going to know about things like MUX and that kind of thing, and hopefully get the capitalization right there. It's not obviously infallible, and you can at any point obviously edit any of these contacts and fill in any further details as you would any other contact in the CRM. But yeah, good question.
Yeah. And Danny's just asked, and I did answer this one as well because I was pretty sure. But if the person you're emailing is already in the CRM, does the email capture just add the email to their existing timeline instead of creating a duplicate profile? And I said, yes, that's correct.
Absolutely, yeah. As long as one of the email addresses linked to that person's profile is the one we've received, then it will not create a duplicate. Yeah.
Great.
Wonderful. Okay, then. So now we get onto the exciting stuff because it's new and shiny. We're going to talk about mailouts. So let me go ahead and share my screen again. And I'm just going to start off with an overview of what we're talking about. So what mailouts are not, what mailouts is not. Excellent. When mailouts are useful, and sending mailouts. Okay, so we've got some interesting grammar going on there, but let's start off with what mailouts are not. So I've got a little feature comparison. You sometimes see these on software websites where, you know, it says what our system does versus what a competitor's system does. And the difference here is that ours doesn't do nearly as much. So that's the important point here. This is not a replacement for things like MailChimp or any other direct marketing software. So if we look at the comparison, the two items at the top are in bold because those are the things that we do. You can send personalized bulk emails out via mailouts, and you can do that in mailouts, and you can also do it in things like MailChimp. It's better than using the BCC field in your email software to send out a big group email. So that's definitely true of mailouts, and it's true of MailChimp. And that's where the similarities end. So mailouts is not going to allow you to schedule campaigns. It's not going to give you rich reporting on how many people have opened your emails or clicked on your links. You're not going to have a fancy template editor where you can personalize lots of different elements. And you're not going to have a lot of options when it comes to personalization or marketing automations and that kind of thing. So that's just because we're not setting out to replace that kind of tool. This is much more about I need to send a quick message out to a particular group of people and having the ability to do that. That said, it does do some nice things, such as it will show a copy of the email that's been sent on someone's profile and that kind of thing. But yeah, just important for you to know this isn't a replacement for those more sophisticated tools. It's just an additional tool in your kit, if you like. Okay, so all that said, I'm going to switch over and look at this in the system.
I was just going to add that it's just kind of perfect for sending out a quick notification to a particular segment in your CRM for whatever reason, or just kind of conveying basic information.
Yeah, well said, Steph. Okay, so in terms of installing mailouts, it's really simple. We just do it through the App Store. Again, it's a Pro feature, so you will either have that included if you're a Pro user, or you can upgrade to Pro through that process as well. If you get any error messages when you're trying to set up mailouts, the error message will tell you that your email template settings aren't correct, which is what we looked at right at the beginning of the system. That error is there on purpose so that you don't install it and then you can't use it. So do be aware of that, but it's just a case of going to your App Store, clicking install, and the system I'm showing you here has already got it installed, and we can tell that because we've got this little envelope icon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to my mailouts. And when I do that, first of all, you can see along the top, I have some different types of mailouts here. So segment mailout, member mailouts, project mailouts, and event mailouts. So I'm going to talk about the difference between these various mailouts, and then we can see the ones that have already been sent. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create a new mailout. So I'm going to click on the send a mailout button in the relevant section. So I'm going to send a segment mailout first. So I'm going to click on send mailout. Over on the right hand side, you can see that email template, and you'll see that it says dear first name. So there is some basic personalization on this email, but that's about it. Because this is a segments mailout, I'm going to get a list of all my different segments that I've got here. And I've got one called email list, which I'm going to use in this particular instance. And that's just got a couple of people on it. Okay, I'm going to add a subject. I know people don't need to be told how to send an email, but here we go. Here is a test mail out from GoodCRM. And I'm going to go ahead and add some copy. Hopefully this live demonstration works. Nothing else has. Excellent. Okay, so we can type our email message in. We're going to see that appear in the preview on the right-hand side. And when we're ready and we're sure that we have got the right email list, we can go ahead and click send. Just before I go, I just want to mention that this is a drop-down list at the top here. You will only have the one email address that you've got verified on your account linked up there. In the future, we might give you the option to add further email addresses there if you do want to swap them. If that is something that you are in desperate need of, please do get in touch with our help desk and we'll see what we can do for you. Okay, with that said, little warning at the bottom here saying mailouts are sent immediately. Clicking send will cause this email to be sent immediately to all the people on your segment. By pressing send, you confirm you have permission to contact these people. So do be aware of that. And I'm going to go ahead and click send. And okay, and so the mail out has been sent. Now, again, this isn't going to show up immediately on our recipients' profiles, but I will loop back in a moment and show you those emails that have been sent to Henry and Arthur, who are on my email list there. Okay, I'm just going to talk about the different types of mail out as well. And then I'm going to look at the different ways you can send a mail out in the system. And then we can go through any questions you might have. So we have member mail out. So if you've got the memberships add-on installed, you can go ahead and send out a membership mail out. This is going to work just exactly the same as the segments mail out. The difference here is that we can choose which membership statuses we're interested in. So it might be that you want to send this to active and lapsed members, but you don't want to send it to cancelled members, for example. And that is a membership mail out. Otherwise, it's exactly the same. We've then got our event mail out. So I'm going to do this slightly out of order. And if I go ahead and send an event mail out, then two differences here. First of all, in fact, three differences. So first of all, we can choose now which event we're interested in sending the mail out to. So we're going to be looking at all the participants in that event. Then we can choose whether we want to send it to the actual participants or somebody that's connected to that participant. So maybe you're working with young people and you've got a connection field to say that, you know, this young person is the participant in this group, but their parent is connected to them. So we can come here and look at any connection fields connecting to people from the participant. And I'm going to, in this case, choose to send this to the parent of the child. Then the final difference with events specifically is that we can choose the template. We've got our standard template, which is what we use for most mailouts, but we can also just pull in the participant and event details. So it's not particularly fancy, but it's just saying we're writing to you because you're a participant, and then it pulls in the young person's name, for example, the participant's name is attending, and then the event name. So we bring this information in because perhaps you're emailing a parent who has young people who are in two different sessions, and you need to email them about one of the young people, not the other. This just makes it clear to the parent which session and which young person you are emailing about. But then the rest of this works exactly the same. So content that we put in here will appear just below the personalization information there. Okay, so there is one last type of mail out, and that is the project mail out. So with a project mail out, it's going to work very similarly to our events mail out. We're going to choose the project rather than the event. We can then choose whether we're sending this to the participant or to somebody who is connected to the participant again. And again, we get an email template option here, which pulls through the young person's name or the participant's name, not necessarily a young person, and which project they're attending. So very similar to the event option. The difference here is what we're going to be doing is we're going to be emailing all of the participants from all of the events that are within this project. So we're going to say, okay, this is the project we're interested in. Let's look at all of the events, find all the people that are participating. It's only going to send one email, so if to each person. So if the participant's in 3 different events, that's fine. It will only send it once, but this is going to send in that way. Okay, so all quite nice and simple. The last thing I want to show you is that there are a few different places in the system we can send these emails from. You can come to your main mail out section where you can see everything, but also if we come to our projects and events section and we have a look at one of our projects and we look at where is it? If we go into our event here, you can see there is a send mail out button there. So you can, all that's going to do is take you to a new mail out, but it's going to pre-populate this event in there so that you've got the participants preloaded. You should be able to do that at the project level as well, but I didn't spot, this is the program, sorry, that's right, that was the project. So that sends out a mail out to everybody within this project. And then if we go into an individual event, then we can also send a mail out there. So if I was to go ahead and click send mail out, it's going to take me to the same part of the system, but that event is just going to be pre-loaded in there. So we can send a mail out from a project, from an event, and we can finally do it from a segment. So if I go to my tools and settings section, go to my segments, you'll see now that we have this mail out button, so we can go ahead and send out to any segment to do with people. And again, it's just going to preload the segment into this particular mail out for us. Okay, so all that said, let's see if that email that we sent right at the beginning has come through. So I know that Henry was on our list. And when we look at Henry's timeline, I've made this load slowly for suspense. You'll see that we have the email sent here on the 8th of February at 12:20, and we can go ahead and again click to view the email that was sent out to Henry, and we can see the personalization is in there and the demonstration worked. So what do you know? Right, I imagine we might have some questions, Steph.
There's so many questions.
So many questions. Excellent.
Okay. So let's see where we start. So Sinead asked, is the mail out email address just one per organization, for example, for marketing use only, or one per user? I think it's just one per organization, isn't it?
It's one per organization, but as I say, we kind of half have the ability to add additional ones. It hasn't been fully implemented yet. You will be able to do that yourself in the future. If you need to do that now, if you want to have a marketing email in there and you want to have another email in there as well, do get in touch with Help Desk and we can see if we can sort that out for you. But they will show up for all users of the system. You'll just have an option on the drop down.
Hannah asks, if a contact or record has more than one email address, does this mail out send it to both?
Really great question. No, it just picks one. It picks the first, and that raises a good question of how you can specify which ones they go to, and that's something that is on my list for the future, to be able to basically set which is the primary email. But no, it's just going to go to the first email address on somebody's record.
Okay. Isabel ask, can you only send to those who attended an event? But I think you've probably answered that question by showing that actually mail outs you can use for lots of different groups.
Yeah, absolutely. So just to recap, you can send it to participants of an event, you can send it to participants of all events on a project, you can send it to members if you have the memberships add-on, and you can send it to any segment of people. So yeah, basically full freedom.
Kate was asking about the CRM, the GoodCRM logo was at the footer of her emails. Is that normal, or can she change this? I did mention that you changed the branding at the beginning.
Yeah, the very bottom does have a little GoodCRM logo on, which at the moment can't be taken off, and maybe that's something that if people feel strongly about, they should let us know, and we can, I don't see why we can't do something about that.
Okay. Dave asked, is it possible to create your own email templates rather than just having the ones there? No, not at the moment.
No, that's and probably never. We're not trying to be MailChimp. This is about sending quick email out. So yeah, it's you'd want to use something like MailChimp or a marketing email broadcast tool to have that kind of control over look and feel.
And I think that probably goes for lots of the things people are asking. If it's going to overcomplicate the system in general, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel, essentially. It's just an additional thing that's useful as part of the CRM in general. Michael asks, re-membership mail out. We have various membership levels like individuals and community, etc. Would the app allow us to choose and isolate one of those tags to send a mail out to?
So yeah, you would just do that as a segment though. So you can, the membership will be tagged with their membership level. So you can go ahead and just create a segment, and then that's, yeah. So, and you can use that active or lapsed tag there as well. So the membership shortcut's just there for, simplicity, but yeah, if you do need fine-grained control, the segment's the way to do it. I
think, so Dave has said we'll definitely need multiple user emails. So I think
helpdesk@goodcrm.co.uk, and I'll talk you through the process.
Yeah, no more questions.
Thanks, everybody. So sorry for all of the technical problems. I am going to try and get something usable out of the recording today, and I will get that up onto the Good Place as well. And you can find the previous 2 masterclasses there as well. So thanks so much for coming. Thanks for being active participants. It's been great to see so many of you today.
Yeah, and if anyone has any topics that they think that we should do another masterclass on, please let us know. Again, pop that in the Good Place or drop us an email, because we want to do more of these on anything that people can think of that they would find useful.
Excellent. Well, with that, thank you, Steph. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks a lot.